Hello and welcome to 99 Yards, American football for UK fans. My name's Liz and I'm joined once again by Adam Smith, Gareth Duxbury, Jonathan Payton. As well, joining us tonight from the NFL Girl UK team is Kadeen Simmons. Kay, welcome to the podcast. How's it going?
It's not going too bad, thank you. How are things with you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, how's everyone else?
Good.
Yeah, I'm really good. I've got some tea. As a Yorkshireman, that makes me really happy. So that's good.
Yorkshire
Happy
tea?
kick-off eve.
Yeah, I'm getting more into the spirit. I've got a Bud Light. It's not great, but you do these things.
I did have the Super Bowl, but that's a tough drink. That is a tough drink to get through.
You know your audience with that.
Is it ice cold though, or is it room temperature?
No, it's ice cold. No,
it's got to be cold.
I draw the line somewhere.
Yeah, who
says
I'm not a monster. So at the end of last season, last year obviously, I pretty much vowed to never do a fantasy league again. Mostly because I just don't find that I'll update the team after week one. And it turns out now I'm in two. And in fact, before recording this tonight, I had help from my fiancé Barrett to pick out my team in the International Fantasy League, which Good Morning Football's Kay Adams set up. I don't know if anyone saw this tweet earlier, but Kay Adams basically tweeted out, Tom Brady goes 4th overall in the International Fantasy Football League. Of course he does. I can confirm that was not my doing, I swear. Not me at all. Obviously, I know last year I didn't so well, so we will see how that goes. Are any of you guys in a fantasy league this year?
Yeah, we're on the one that you decided you were too good to join. It was like, we're going to set one up. Do you want to be in it, Liz? Like, no, I'm fine. I'm doing this shit. Well, Kay Adams is setting one up. Well, I can't swipe my phone quick enough, record a video and send it to her.
Yeah, but she's gorgeous.
Well, she is.
In her defence, or I say in her defence, in Liz's defence, I'm not in that one either.
Hey.
What's the other one you're in, Liz?
So the company I worked for last year, I basically set one up and then I got an email kind of this time around saying, oh, are you doing it again? I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay then. So we're drafting for that tomorrow morning.
Are there many people in it?
How many? 18 of us. It's quite a lot, yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. Some people know it and some people don't, so it's a good mix and it's auto drafted, so the people who know what they're doing can't have an advantage. So we shall see.
I was going to say, getting some proper third and fourth string wide receivers there, aren't you?
Yeah.
You need to pay attention to Mark Sessler's fantasy corner in a league that big.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is true. That is very true.
I'm in 5 fantasy leagues this year, actually, which is a new record for me.
My goodness.
Yeah, I'm curious about how it goes. I've got one. Most of them are in the NFL official ones. I've got one ESPN one. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've got a mix of like PPR as well and regular. I quite like PPR myself because I don't know. I just feel like I like getting more points. I deserve more points with so I like that. But I'm curious how it goes because last year I did 3 and that felt like it took up a lot of my time. So I'll see how 5 goes.
Yeah, alongside our league, I'm into my sort of league of record, which has been going 10 years now. And a new one. They're both Yahoo 10-man, and we do 0.5 PPRs, which is you deserve some points, but not too many. And in my first draft, I was 7th, and I WhatsApped my friend in both leagues and said, I'm in 7th, worst position. And then the next league, I'm commissioner in both. Next league, random draw, 7th again. So
ouch.
I am, angry at both drafts.
I sort of hate fantasy.
So do I.
Yeah, I do one a year just to sort of, it helps getting to know a bit of depth chart for wide receivers and running backs, but it's just a bit too offense focused. For my liking.
You do start. You can fall into a trap of stop paying attention to the game and just be.
That's exactly it.
Oh God, 4-yard dump off to my running back. Brilliant.
Exactly. You just find yourself, just watching Red Zone.
Red Zone definitely.
Yeah, I don't want to get that there. It's a bad road to go down. Yeah. I'll try and limit myself.
I think you also get to a point where you start rooting for teams you want to lose because they've got like your quarterback or something like that. And once it gets to that point, it's gone too far. Just stop. Like as a Dolphins fan, asking like Tom Brady to score 3 touchdowns, I feel disgusted with myself.
It's all sorts of wrong. It is.
Exactly.
Right, guys, should we get on with the show?
Yeah,
let's go.
Right,
Probably.
so obviously this week the new season kicks off. It's a moment we've all been waiting for. And since the last podcast, all 32 teams cut their rosters down to 53 men. So there's been quite a bit of activity. One particular move that we think we should talk about is the Patriots trade of Jacoby Brissett to the Colts. Now, Andrew Luck was cleared to practice, but will not play in the Colts season opener. What are your thoughts? And is the Brissett move right for the Colts?
Given who their backup was, yes. However, it's a Patriots quarterback, so you don't actually know how good they are. And that's no offense to any of the previous ones, but any quarterback in that Belichick system can look pretty amazing. And you give him Colts receivers, Colts offensive line, and I'm not too sure how he's going to do.
Yeah, he played against Buffalo last year, didn't he, when Brady was still serving suspension? And I think they lost 13. I think they lost 13-0 that game. Like, it's the Patriots' worst game of the season. And, like, he played really well in his last pre-season game. He looks okay, but, I mean, giving up Dorsett, who is a first-round pick, I mean, he's a first-round pick, don't get me wrong, but nevertheless a first-round pick. It's just, the value, Patriots have won that trade for me. Like, Brissett could be cut by the end of the season, maybe, if Luck gets back and is healthy. So it's a bizarre trade, but I suppose, considering how weak they were at quarterback with Luck out, I can see it, I guess. Just a lot to give up, really.
I've got a few points, and you guys know, and anyone that reads the blog knows that I am the biggest Andrew Luck mark going. I love him as a player, and he is the only reason the Colts are relevant at all. But the Pats never traded with the Colts during the Peyton Manning era. They never strengthened a rival. The Dwayne Allen trade earlier in the offseason, this trade, it just shows that they do not view them as a legitimate rival. Now, for the Colts, with Scott Tolzien, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be a top 3 pick next season. I think what this says more is not, Andrew Luck's cleared to practice, he's not starting week 1. This says to me, Luck is potentially out for longer than we think, and they just need somebody viable. And Scott Tolzien, isn't that? It's not the same level as Sam Bradford before the season last year, because he's a third-string quarterback. But giving up a first-round pick and getting a warm body in, it says to me that we really need to be worried about Luck. And I've just sort of looking at the schedule for the Colts, that I can't see him getting more than 4 wins if he doesn't play this year.
I just think this is classic Patriots opportunism.
Yes.
Like, it's fourth preseason game. He throws 4 touchdowns. I think he ran for another one as well. His trade value is never going to be higher. They probably don't see him as a long-term option in New England. And they decide to call up the Colts, offer a trade, and probably laughing to themselves when the Colts have taken it, there's a bit of Deflategate back. But don't forget, Jacoby Brissett did beat the Texans last year. I think it was wasn't it 27? No, put up 27 points. Yeah. And the Texans are pretty good defensively, so there's probably something there. I don't ever think he was going to fit into Josh McDaniels' offensive system long term, but I think the Patriots have won this.
Yeah, but the Colts clearly think he's an upgrade on Tolzien, which, based on the tape we've seen, he is. So you can understand, but it's a desperation move, and it terrifies me for Andrew Luck's season and his career, to be honest. I mean, they've given him such a pounding over the last couple of years with that porous offensive line and his style of play. It's worrying, because I think he's one of the best talents, at quarterback that we've seen in the last 10 years. He has all the tools, but his career could be stymied by, what has happened and this failure to recover.
Yeah, he also has Frank Gore as his number 1 running back, which is... I mean, I've got a lot of respect for Frank Gore. To be fair to him, he's done quite well. I mean, he got over 1,000 yards last season, but yeah, it doesn't really help much when that's your number 1 running back.
And Ryan Kelly out, and who knows when he's going to be back. They've got problems on the right side of the line. I know Joe Hagel's good on the left and Costanzo, but whoever's behind that line is going to take a pounding, and you don't risk Andrew Luck if that's going to be the case.
But then, do you chuck in a relatively green young quarterback who could easily get injured, and then you've got Scott Tolzien? And I don't want to be that guy, but surely Colin Kaepernick is an upgrade on him. And I'm not just trying to say give Kaepernick a job, but if you're desperate for a quarterback, hello, I don't know.
I agree. I mean, but to be honest, I mean, based against Scott Tolzien, all of us on this pod are an upgrade on Scott Tolzien. And Cap would be. Cap would be. Cap is a viable starter in this league, and it's an entirely different conversation. But they've gone the way they've gone. The Pats have elicited value from this trade, as they always do, or we always believe they do, because it's Belichick. We're all taught to believe, and most of the time it's right. But yeah, no, that's a very fair point.
Also, the Patriots have got a lot of speed on the outside now, looking at it from their point of view. They've got Cooks and they'll have Dorsett. And you sort of wonder if Brady's got the arm still to really punish teams with that if they try and go vertical. So it'll be interesting to see.
But he only needs to do that a couple of times a game, and then he can throw 4 yards, 4 yards to Burkhead, White, Lewis, and just that array of
Logan,
satellite blocks.
Another big story is that the Browns cut Brock Osweiler, who now rejoins Broncos. Obviously, they needed a backup after Paxton Lynch suffered a right shoulder injury during pre-season, and he's now possibly out for at least 5 weeks. Osweiler's probably, I think, he's a perfect fit as backup, and supposedly he's ecstatic to return. And what do you guys think of this? Because 2 years ago, he was keen to leave, and it was rumoured that he wasn't happy about being benched in favour of Peyton Manning, but also his relationship with General Manager John Elway was also strained.
Who wants to go first?
Again, covering the AFC South and watching Brock Osweiler last year for the Texans in most games, that's time in my life I'm never going to get back, Liz. So, the amount of times you watch a guy stare down the first receiver as if he's Superman with laser eyes it was just depressing. And he to be fair, there were reports of him being not the greatest teammate. He goes to the Browns. He clearly sees what that move is for them. They're paying $16 million for a second-round draft pick, and he says all the right things, and he tries to ingratiate himself with the regime. So fair play. But he's ended up back at the Broncos, where John Elway has done the right thing. He's got a body in. Paxton Lynch may end up being a bust. He's unfit now. But he's just a warm body again, and we could talk about maybe Cap was probably more viable than Osweiler. I certainly think so, but
yeah,
I don't think he's going to be a factor in the NFL. He's going to bop around because he had a big pedigree coming in for Manning. He's had a tutelage at the Broncos, but he'll bounce around as a backup for a few years and then disappear, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's not. Last season, most of his good players were just throws to his tight end. I mean, he doesn't really have any kind of. He seemed to struggle with the Texans' offense a lot as well. I think the fact that he couldn't get a good season out of DeAndre Hopkins says a lot. I think, considering that he works under a lot of different quarterbacks and quite bad quarterbacks as well, and he's managed to score touchdowns and get over 1,000 yards, but last year he couldn't. So yeah, I can't see him doing very well. But however, with Denver, I'm still in awe of Trevor Siemian, because when he was first when Peyton retired, and also I went to the Texans, Siemian was like, it's a desperation move. He might play a few games and they'll bring Kaepernick in, or they'll sign somebody. He's last season did okay, but the fact that he even got to his career is now he's gone from potentially being cut to he's going to be in the league now for another maybe 5-6 years, if not more. Yeah. It's incredible, really.
Yeah, it's you kind of have to say that the Broncos kind of won the Osweiler trade. They got him away and to bring him back, and the Browns are paying for him. So that's pretty amazing. But whether he actually sees the field, I think he might see the field, because Siemian is prone to going down a few times, which would be a shame, simply because Osweiler is awful, really bad. Oh my days, how he used to look quarterback bad. He was never going to win the Browns job. I don't know why they even try to make it seem like they would. I think for the Broncos, they just have to hope and pray that Siemian can stay fit until Lynch comes back. But then even then, Lynch is nothing special either, which is a shame because he looked pretty good in college.
Yeah, the point on Siemian is exactly right. I mean, 7th rounder out of Northwestern, it doesn't scream starting on a team a couple of years removed from a Super Bowl win. So yeah, he's played himself in, but Yeah, I think I'm with Kay. Osweiler just saps the life out of you watching football.
I think, wasn't it Von Miller or someone said today that Simeon reminds him of Peyton Manning?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
And I think that's a bit silly. Like, he might be good, but he's not
what Peyton Manning are we talking about? 2006 Peyton Manning or 2015 Peyton Manning? 2015 Peyton Manning. Then that relies a lot on the defense.
And to be fair, I mean, again, if I'm an Andrew Luckmark, then Peyton Manning is my deity. He's the reason I really got into football in the mid 2000s after watching it for years. I love his play as quarterback, but on the other side, Von Miller can say whatever the hell he wants, and you're just going to agree with him because he's too good. Like, any outrageous opinion, I'm sort of like, okay, you're Von Miller, fine.
Yeah, he wears glasses pretty well as well.
Yeah. Whenever you see him in glasses, you kind of think he doesn't look too right because he plays the game so aggressively, and that's nothing against anyone with glasses, but that's pretty amazing. Like, I think he wears contacts.
Bob Greasy used to wear glasses under his helmet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Eric Dixon used to wear goggles, but Bob Greasy.
Did, yeah.
If you watch any 1970s footage, it's almost like he's got just a big pair of glasses underneath his helmet. It's quite funny.
Showing your age there.
No. I was born in the 70s. I've just seen footage.
And then moving on to a very hot topic right now, the NFL announced that Week 1 matchup between Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Miami Dolphins won't be played in Miami on Sunday, obviously due to the hurricane, which is fair enough. The game's now been confirmed that it's going to take place in Week 11, which is when both teams are going to have a bye week. This obviously now means that both teams will play 16 games straight, which is insane. Kay, you're a Dolphins fan, so what are your thoughts on that?
First and foremost, obviously, without sounding too cliche, the priority is making sure that the players are safe and that their families are safe and stuff like that. I think a lot of people raised a valid question, which is, if both teams didn't have the same bye week, what would the league have done?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they haven't really thought this through, in the sense that, if both teams had different bye week, they would have had to come to some kind of arrangement. And what kind of arrangement would that have been? It might have been a neutral ground on Sunday or Monday. Where that would have been, I'm not too sure. I think some people are saying that the Dolphins should play their London game in Miami, which, if you've paid your London ticket like I have, you'll be pretty annoyed to not get that game because the league couldn't be bothered to work out a different schedule. And I'm in no way blaming the league in the sense that they had nothing to do with the hurricane, but I kind of feel like this is the easy way out. That makes sense.
Don't discount that game. I mean, the NFL are pretty powerful. They're powerful.
Yeah, you're not seeing the CBA. Yeah, the CBA. Yeah, that's a great hurricane.
I personally think it's really bad, but I'm of the belief that I think one bye week is also pathetic. I think there should be at least 2 bye weeks for teams. And quite often, I think the game suffers for it at times, because you see the amount of injuries you get throughout a season, and you see teams just being, like last season with Oakland, they got to playoffs, Cow was injured, they fell apart. And obviously that's not just due to bye weeks, but that happens quite often for teams where it's such a grinding season, it's long, and that's especially if Miami to get in the playoffs now as well. I mean, how for such a long season, and as like Keem said, I think they were lucky it fell into the fact that it was both on the same bye week, because I think really it should have come to some other conclusion. But it's done now, I guess. I mean, can't do much about it, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it gave the league an opportunity not to make a decision. But given the fact, you've got 2 West Coast games on a Monday night to start the season, I know it's all about, ratings and TV and that, but just put it on, 5 p.m. East Coast or, 3 p.m. East Coast on Monday. Play it somewhere neutral. Just get the game played, because it's bad enough teams having a bye in week 4 and having to go, 12 games without a bye, and then if you've got playoff aspirations, as you say, Adam, you see players going down. It just feels like they've fudged it, and of course safety first, and you can't play the game, but there were ways around it that did not involve having, particularly, and from the Bucs side, a very heavily touted team, playing 16 games straight with the potential of the playoffs after. It just seems like they've fudged it because this bye week existed where they're both off at the same time.
Yeah, like especially with the kind of injuries you see as well with a long season. Like last year, Richard Sherman was injured. It was undisclosed, but he was injured. Andrew Luck was like when he was playing injured. Like that happens every single week, and it's partly because there's only one bye week. If they had more bye weeks, so it was split out more and they cared more for player safety, you maybe wouldn't get as many of those injuries. They might still happen. You can't guarantee, but it would at least decrease the chances, I think. So the fact this has happened, like it makes a mockery, and also it's if you're a Miami or Tampa player this week, you must be just. You must have start the season. Today you would have been like, "Oh, I'm excited first week of the season, long season ahead, all these aspirations." Now people just thinking, "I've got to get through this." With this a bad start of the season to not play, have all the week of to this point of this week preparing for the game, and then being like, "Yeah, you're out playing." Like mentally, that must be very bizarre. Like watching the other games on Sunday, knowing that you aren't playing. It's strange.
I think for the Dolphins players, it's more about just make sure their family's safe. I think obviously they would have wanted to play, but this hurricane is so big. I think they kind of quietly relieved that they can, get their family out of danger, basically.
Yeah.
But I think, in terms of like playoff aspirations of the Dolphins, we have none. I think the moment, and it's one of you just have a look at since the preseason started, or since training camp started, losing Tannehill, fair enough. Then first play of the preseason game, you lose your second round pick to a freak injury. He's out for the season. You lose one of your starting guards. He's out for the season. And then you've now got to play 16 games straight. And Cutler isn't the most durable quarterback. He's come back from shoulder surgery and being retired. So yeah, our playoff aspirations are dead. I feel sorry for the Bucs because they are a legit playoff team this year, or I think so anyway. And touch wood, you can just imagine week 11, Winston going down injured, and everyone's going to go, "Told you so." I think this is just a clear indication that player safety isn't actually a thing the league cares about. Because if they did, they would have found another way around it.
Yeah, right.
I agree with that.
Just to go back to Adam's point, the league did try 2 bye weeks in 1993, but I think it was then dismissed because the teams didn't like it. They thought it interfered too much with their routine. So it has been tried before, but it always seems to make too much sense from a broadcast perspective as well. If you have a second bye week, you're giving broadcasters another week's worth of games to show, and that you therefore think would increase the money they could make from it as well. So it seems like quite a lot of sense. But I sort of feel like the international series doesn't really help the situation because from a Dolphins point of view, the idea of moving to a neutral site then takes you down to 6 home games, then 2 on a neutral site, and then 8 away, and that sort of feels like competitive balance really is out of kilter then. So in a way, you sort of feel that it can't happen soon enough that the NFL moves to 17 regular season games and 2 bye weeks. Maybe that's the answer.
Well, that's why some are saying that the Dolphins should basically give up the London game and play in Miami. And then they'll talk about, I think, playing Panthers Saints in London or something like that, which is never going to happen. But it's you can see both sides of the fence in the sense that Miami, only get a certain amount of home games. They basically lose 2 if it's played at a neutral site. However, for the international series, losing 1 game is a big thing in the sense that people would be flying from all over the world. Let's not be silly. People would have bought their flights from the States, from around Europe, and as you guys know, this is my one chance to see Kiko Alonso. I want to see Kiko Alonso. So
you're banned from the locker room, though, aren't
you? That restraining order kicks in.
That's what you think. I'll put a way around it. Glasses and a wig.
But I mean, just as a final thing on this, with Jay Cutler being Jay Cutler, will he call a game this weekend then? As soon as he's not playing.
Nice.
I would love that.
See, so Sky have gone for the Steelers Browns to replace it, which is interesting. I thought Titans Raiders would have been the obvious choice, but
I don't know.
Not that I care too much because I'll be trying to watch the Bills Jets game on GamePass if the stream works.
What about Washington Eagles?
Which is a beauty.
Washington Eagles is the big market game. But Browns with the upset, not.
Yeah,
I think because Kaiser's starting, it's like, let's see the quarterback.
It's a London home team, isn't it, as well?
It is.
They like promoting those.
Oh God! I'm not going to watch that game.
And then moving on, last week we discussed the European GamePass app at length. We all had an opinion on it, and I mentioned at the time there was going to be a media briefing led by its CEO, Sam James. Sorry, I keep calling him Sam James, his name's Sam Jones. Anyhow, him and NFL UK's head honcho, Alistair Kirkwood. The event was held at NFL's offices in Leicester Square today, which Nat Coombs acted as compere, and I understand that OC Umanora and Jason Bell are also there. Jono, you went along to the briefing, so what can you tell us?
Well, the swanky offices, I'll tell you that. First of all, yeah, really nice, really funky coffee machine. They've got a tap that just comes out of the side unit, and then you choose your coffee on a little mini iPad next to it, and you just press flat white latte.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
And it shoots out, yeah.
Well, that's clearly where our money goes.
That was impressive, yeah.
Intrepid reporting there, Jono.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, the main details. That was good, yeah. Had a chat with OC, had a chat with Jason. That was good. Had a little chat with Nat as well, who was sort of alluding to, like I did in the show last night, that Talk Sport are going to get the radio rights to the NFL this year by the sound of things.
Interesting.
Onto the main event, the Game Pass launch itself, or the Game Pass briefing. Yeah, it was just a bit sort of corporate-y. It was quite vanilla. So I think I went there hoping there might be a bit of contrition, a little bit of like, hold our hands up. It's gone a bit wrong, or it's been a bit bad, but there wasn't really much of that. Like from a in quotation marks hardcore fan perspective, you're sort of shown these new features or new product and platform it's on, etc. But none of it really means that much to you. Like they're showing you things like along the scrub bar you can see big plays appear, which actually frightens the life out of me, because all I can see myself doing is scrubbing forward a bit too far and then ruining a big play or a touchdown because it just appears, the icon appears. They're sort of showing how stats will dynamically update throughout the game. You can go back and forwards, and you can click on any play. You can open up a toolbar and click on a play at any point in the game and go straight to it. But it's all sort of like fluffy stuff around the sides, and they're talking about how they've Game Pass was very much like this little. We've talked about it before. It's like a product on the back burner to the NFL, and they were all focused on getting the games in London, getting Sky deals and BBC deals, and how a year and a half ago in New York they decided no, Game Pass is going to be more of a front and centre product going forwards, and they searched for a partner in Europe about how they could market this and bring a new technology partner on board, etc. But none of it sort of really makes any difference to your current subscriber, really. And Nat did touch on. There was one question. We weren't allowed. There were no questions to the floor
while they
were doing it. So there was Nat. Yes, there
That's
was Nat.
ridiculous. What's the point
and
of media
Alistair and Sam were up there answering questions and like showcasing the product. And then they went off, and then Jason and OC came on and talked about the upcoming season, a little bit about Game Pass and stuff. And then there was like separate interviews around the office and stuff, and certain people were given access to Alistair and Sam. But there was only sort of really one question from Nat, who sort of alluded to the fact that his timeline had been inundated with problems with Game Pass, and they sort of explained that this had been sort of a year and a half in the workings, and how they decided during the off season, down the downtime, that's when they'd switch over suppliers, and how there's like teething problems, but there are always teething problems with when you do a new software, new platform change. And they were sort of talking about how this was sort of like their pre-season for working out how things are going wrong, but then you learn from it, etc. And it was sort of a bit of a funny analogy, but if I suppose charging people full price for an inferior product is what the NFL preseason's all about. So actually, it probably was quite a good like-for-like comparison. But there was no real. There was just a lot of talk about it, how they're like listening to feedback and they're reaching out to users all the time, and you have seen them adapt some of the features from the feedback, like the skip forward button, for example. They've talked about how they've launched 40 new features in the last 4 weeks, and they've got another 40 to launch in the next 4 weeks.
But that's great.
Still,
I don't want to spend £140 on a product that's going to be okay 5 weeks into the season.
Exactly, and there was no sort of talk about the fourth pre-season game. The fourth pre-season round of games was beset with streaming issues. It's a bit like we just sent out our starting offense in our fourth pre-season game. We fumbled once, we've thrown an interception the next time, and then we come off the field. And fingers crossed for week one sort of thing. It's a bit like there's sort of like no talk about that, about how this is a regressed product still from a lot of people's point of view, and there's all been a talk about the benefits of like in the future of how they're going to they have data-driven. This big data-driven product and stuff, and how this is the future of how people are going to consume it, and how they'll be able to integrate social and fantasy and stuff. But I just don't care about that sort of stuff. All I just want is streams from the States that work when I press play, and when I want to download games, they don't have ads in. Like, I'm not asking for a lot. It's just I just want it to work properly, and So overall, a bit underwhelming.
Well, it's interesting, data-driven. Data's only as good as how you use it, and from what I can see, the data they're using is not what the fan base wants them to understand about their user experience. The previous Game Pass app was functional, it was clear, and it worked. It just worked. We talked about this last time, and I squared off on it, and I'm on Twitter just writing to them. But the one point I will make, and it's the one thing that really gets me, is condensed game in 40. It doesn't mean anything. It's pointless. It's the frippery of change for no reason that nobody asked for, that doesn't make any sense, rather than just saying a condensed game. Because not all of the game in 40s are 40 minutes. They're shorter than that. Like, it's nobody. Oh, you've got a catchy name, and this is what it is. It's a catchy name. It's it's bells and whistles. It's all it's all sizzle and no steak.
That's exactly what it is.
Infuriates me because also the people buying Game Pass were not looking for a Europe-centric experience. They are people that want to watch the game. The reason why all 22 is on there, crossover NFL Premier League fans are not wanting to watch all 22 and scroll through play by play to look at every snap that Rashard Matthews takes with the Titans just for fun. But some of us losers are. And that's what we really liked about Game Pass, is that we could, when we're, avoiding real life, you could be like, I wonder how many, I wonder what the fullback did last week. I wonder why, this happened and that happened. And it's a slap in the face, but obviously it's all dressed up in, look, this is shiny. It's as you said, Johnny, from what they've said, it's coming to the forefront for the European NFL fan experience. And it's coming to the forefront because we all hate it. And it just doesn't work.
Even little things like if you just go onto my phone and I want to watch a game, it's just taken up the game screen, the first game screen, just taken up with Game of the Week. I've got to scroll down. It's like, don't tell me what the Game of the Week is. I know what all the fixtures are. I don't need to be told what you think Game of the Week. It doesn't need this editorial layer. I've spent £140 on this product already. I'm totally sold in. I don't need to be sort of like shepherded to what I might like.
Yeah, and also if I'm a new fan looking at the two apps, the previous app was much more friendly to me as a coming in blind than this one. Yeah. Like, it was so much easier to navigate. If I was coming to the NFL for the first time this season, subscribing to Game Pass, that previous app would have been much better. And I know we sound like Luddites terrified of change, but it's just been so poorly done, and the technology.
Some things just don't need redesign.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I say that about myself.
I haven't bought it yet, and I refuse to until they fixed it. I just don't see the point. Yeah, I'm going to miss Dolphins game, and to be fair, I'm not even playing this weekend. But you're not getting £140 of my money for a pile of crap. Excuse my language.
Well, the thing is, they've also taken away the follow my franchise option as a payment plan, but they have got this Game Pass Essential, which is a bit like I've watched a bit of BBC. I'm quite into it. I'm going to now spend £9.99 a week throughout the season, and you get one live game a week, I think, which is chosen for you.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just a real sort of like marketing layer on top. It's so much of the focus is on that.
One of the funniest things I think with Game Pass is you could have Game Pass for 10 years, 5-8 years, and you won't get a discount. But if you buy Madden every year, you get a 15% discount, and I find that unbelievable. What?
There's just no loyalty. Yeah.
I don't know. I've been buying Madden for the past few years, and I didn't get any discount this year.
Really?
I got one.
Well, I'm offended. I paid £80 on the PlayStation and $53 on the Xbox.
You bought both?
Yes, I bought both.
What's wrong with you?
Why would I not buy both?
Okay.
To be fair, and to anyone I know listening to this, I did buy an Xbox just to play Madden, even though I already had a PlayStation 4. So, Louise, if you listen to this, I will give you money for our son later. Sorry about that.
You could say you Madden it.
Oh, I hate puns so much. I hate them so much.
I was waiting for me that one.
Well, look, when they finally get Game Pass right, I'll be happy to shout about it, and I even might get a subscription myself. But until then, I'm out.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm the same.
Right. Well, I think before we end the show, we should discuss one last thing. Something that in maybe 6 months' time we can play back and see how close or far away that we were. Let's discuss who we think will win the Super Bowl and walk away with the Lombardi Trophy come February next year. I'll go first. And all I'll say is anyone but Brady. I just can't stand him. I don't know why. I hate him. I think he's kind of like... I know he's great and that's the annoying thing, but I guess as a Seahawks I can't like him. In all seriousness though, I think it's a tough one to call because anything can happen. But I'd really, really like to see Seahawks get there. Clearly I'm being biased, but I think they've got great talent and experience. So as long as they stay healthy, why not Seahawks?
I'm going Seahawks. I have a strange feeling. I think the latest edition has made them even stronger. So, yeah, I'm going Seahawks.
It's hard to. I mean, the Seahawks and Pats could easily end up in the Super Bowl again. They both look like presumptive number one seeds, but I like to be a little bit different. I think the Steelers, if they can keep Bell healthy, Bryant on the field with Brown, and obviously Big Ben, that D is maturing. It's getting faster. It's getting better. I think they could, if they get the Pats at Heinz Field, AFC Championship go through. And I think the Packers, if Aaron Rodgers is as good as he feels he's going to be this year, based on the back end of last season and based on preseason, I think the Packers get there. So I'm going to say Packers Steelers in a repeat of, was it 2010, 11?
Yeah.
And I think this time, I think the Steelers win it this time. That's what I'm going with.
I mean, as a Seahawks fan, it's very easy to say the Seahawks because not only am I a fan, but there's a strong chance they'll be there. As you said, I think Seahawks Patriots is probably if you to ask probably 100 people, the most common answer will probably be Seahawks Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I think Green Bay, as you mentioned, have a really good shout. I just think their offense it could be Aaron Rodgers on his day for me is the best quarterback in the NFL. I think he can do things that
absolutely
can't do.
Ryan Tannehill. No? Okay. And
yeah, it's a joy to watch, and I think put this, if there's nobody I would if Aaron Rodgers is maybe, I don't know, in the Super Bowl just gone and he's against Atlanta, he's that scoreline down, I think he could come back and win that. The things he does is just unbelievable. So I think they're always going to have a shout. But I still think I'm going to say Seahawks Patriots still. Because I just think it's very hard to rule out the Patriots. Even with Edelman down, it's one of the teams where Edelman's probably is in their top 4 or 5 best defensive players, and he's got injured, and it's it's fine. Gronk was out for the majority of last season, they still won the Super Bowl. Brady was out for 4 games, still won the Super Bowl. It's kind of got to the point now where it's very, very hard to bet against them. So yeah, I think Seahawks Patriots, and hopefully the Seahawks win, but I don't know.
Yeah. Injuries just make it so hard to pick because injuries just change seasons, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can just see 2017 America's game starting with Michael Bennett talking about how much it meant for Justin Britt to put his hand on his shoulder during that national anthem kneel down, and just what it meant to team cohesion, and the brotherhood, etc. I just think the Seahawks, with all the stuff that's going on at the moment, are just best to exploit that with the coach they have.
I would love to see Michael Bennett celebrating on his bike again. That would be.
Yeah, so I think the Seahawks are going to get there. I really do. It's tough in the AFC to look beyond the Patriots, but they're pretty healthy offensive line last year. I don't trust the Steelers to beat the Patriots, though, so I don't know. If the Texans could squeeze some offense.
I was just about to say my the Texans.
I don't know. It sounds ridiculous because AFC is normally so predictable. But, yeah, I don't know. Part of me wants to say the Seahawks will beat the Texans in the Super Bowl, but it'll probably be Seahawks, Patriots.
The Texans, if their D performs as it should, I think they definitely have a chance, but Deshaun Watson needs to come in and start sort of as rookie sensation of quarterback, and I think he has all the tools to do it. I love watching that guy play, but it needs to all work out right for them.
Yeah.
Because I think the Titans are strong in that division as well.
Texans should have beaten the Patriots though. Texans should have beaten the Patriots in the playoffs last year. They haven't. Brady was running for his life at one point. They just had no offense to take control of the game at all. They just killed in the end. But yeah. Interesting.
Brock Osweiler strikes again in this podcast.
What are you not looking forward to this year? There's a question. I'll tell you what I'm not looking forward to is wide receiver celebrations after touchdowns. I'm a believer in the players should be able to do what they want and stuff, and the whole no fun league. Players are sort of handcuffed to express themselves properly. But I think I can see myself already getting wound up by all the NFL UK retweets, with the eyes or the laughter, smile, some crazy touchdown celebration, like Odell Beckham's done or Antonio Brown. I'm already just like,
and then some awful vignette of a Premier League player recreating it with his teammates.
Jesse Lingard reenacting it.
Oh, that's what we all want.
I think I'm least looking forward to is after every JJ touchdown, I'm going, he's from Britain. It's like, yes, we know he's from Britain. And on a Monday morning, NFL UK tweeting out, guess where he's from? It's like, seriously, I will unfollow you so quickly.
Wait until week 4. Okay? It's going to be on speed. It is going to be full on a Jai week.
I just think NFL UK, whenever a Jai scores, should just do, aubergine splash emoji. That's all they want to do every time.
Really
I'm not looking forward to, as a Washington fan, I think we're going to struggle with that. I mean, the news that's just come out about Sua Cravens, I think, is going to be difficult for us. And he needs to get himself right and focus on himself. But I'm just really worried of having to watch the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles be better than I want them to be, because I've predicted them to be pretty low. I do all 256 games in a spreadsheet, and my unconscious bias comes in, and they're just going to have a great season. And
whoa, stop!
No, we all heard that.
Stop! You've got a spreadsheet with all 256 games in.
Yeah.
And do you go through and do you put a score down, or do you just put win loss?
Oh, Johnny, I'm not a nerd. I just do win loss.
Fair enough.
But I sort of go through every schedule and then do win loss, and then when it's finished, I've spent the last 2 weeks sort of tweaking it, thinking, well, this is when they're playing. It's just to pass the time.
What have you done to the Dolphins Buccaneers game now that it's changed to the bye week 11? How does that shake things up?
I've got a 5-hour train journey from Exeter to Sheffield tomorrow, so
ponder that.
It'll be revisited.
Nice.
For me, one thing I'm not looking forward to is Eli Manning, because I just cannot stand watching him play. I think he's just so frustrating to watch. I can't imagine being a Giants fan and having him as a quarterback. It just so frustrating. I feel for Odell, because the things he does with him as quarterback is really quite incredible.
But don't you find the Giants are just so boring to watch anyway?
Yeah, that as well.
They're just so boring. They're so dull.
I do love their defense.
Really good D.
But in terms of offense,
yeah. I mean, you've got Ben McAdoo with his Cheesecake Factory menu, and it's just so dull. And they, here's a new runner. I mean, I drafted Paul Perkins in one league, but oh my God, watching him, fall tackled for a loss behind that collapsing calamity of an offensive line, and ugh. Yeah, so I'm with you on that.
Like Paul Perkins, their number one running back, they really aren't going to use the run that much this year. But I mean, they haven't exactly got like Roethlisberger or a really good pass. Like Eli Manning's average. I know he's won 2 Super Bowls, but he's not a great quarterback. And
he's streaky. He's streaky.
Yeah, and he's not got good technique. There's nothing really outstanding about him. But yet, I don't know whether it's just that the Giants themselves are so invested in him. They think, we have to focus on Eli. We've got to give him all his weapons. But like this season, you could, even with Marshall, Shepard, and Beckham, they could still be quite poor on offense. Which is they've got at one point to think, actually, Eli, you're not that great, mate.
Manning's had like a season's worth of really good games.
Yeah.
Which was the end of the 2007 season, and then I think they won the first 10 games in 2008, and then Plaxico shot himself in the leg, and he's just been sort of averagely streaky ever since.
Yeah, it doesn't help as well. They're on Sky all the time as well, so I have to just seem to watch him more than a lot of quarterbacks.
They've got a great throwback jersey there.
That's true. But they are in all the primetime games with the rest of the NFC East. But now you've said all this, Adam, you know that the Giants are going to go like 9-7 and end up in the Super Bowl again. This is what you're doing to me.
When I was saying it, I was just remembering the Giants LA game at Twickenham, and that was just like Eli personified. That game was just...
Well, the one thing I'm not looking forward to is, when it comes to international series, when they play the whole game on the screen of the American trying to pronounce the English word, I'm not into that. I just think it's so daft.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Another thing that annoys me about when these games come around every year is they talk about in 2007 how they came over there and people were cheering loudest for field goals and extra points. No, they weren't. It's just a made up narrative to make everyone think how British people knew nothing about the game 10 years ago, and now they've been bringing games over there. Everyone understands it. It's so much more sophisticated. That winds me up every time I hear that, because I was at the game and they weren't. Everyone was just miserable because it was a terrible game and it was terrible weather. So that sort of winds me up. But on a happier note, well done, Liz, for selling out your event.
I know.
Of the Saints Dolphins game.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
I will be there, so well done.
Yay! I honestly was not expecting that at all, to be honest. I kind of thought maybe I'd sell 20 at most, and that'd probably be half of you guys anyway. To be honest, to sell the full 60, that's certainly made me happy, and who knows, maybe next year we'll do all 4 games, so we shall see.
Come down to London.
Awesome. Well, look, I think we've covered everything. So, thanks, Adam, Gareth, Jono, Kay. Thanks for joining me, sharing your opinions. And to those listening in, thanks for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed the show. If there's anything you'd like us to discuss on a future podcast, send us a tweet at 99yards or shoot me an email, liz@nflgirluk.com. Thanks for listening.